Well, hello everybody. Welcome to another CIRF report. And we're looking at a big energetic week. So we're going to call this week Taming the Lion. This one's valid for the 2nd to the 8th of February 2023. We're going to be talking about the energies of this week, the influences, which are going to be, well, maybe not hopefully, probably feeling. And then more importantly, what to do about it. So let's go surfing. It's not just an energy reading. We're suggesting solutions at the end. The first half is all about influence. The second half is about the solution. And I'm looking at a new camera. This is our interim camera. And I have a few announcements regarding that, specifically for our episodes. But getting used to looking over this direction, and this camera even is going to be replaced hopefully by an even better one, but it's certainly better than the old camera, I can assure you that. All right, so here's our influence, and I know that Angie's going to love this background, and I hope you do too. I love it. So anyway, here's our overlap. We have a big week with the astrology. We have a full moon in Leo. It happens on Sunday. But there's so much more. And a lot of that is Venus square Mars, brings up a lot of passion in there. We also have the sun and our identity being pressured to be different, to be free, to be a rebel. And there's a T-square at the time of the Leo full moon. So that really produces a lot of electricity to an already fiery energy. So we have like sparks coming out of the walls, basically, if you can visualize that. And all planets are direct, and we have some opportunities in there. So that's not even a half of it. Okay, with astrology, there's a lot more to discuss and a lot more details. And then the collective unconscious, this is represented by the green circle. And this probably should be a little bit bigger because that's big energy. The memes are strong, really strong. And food and restaurant industry, but more like luxury trips. So it's like a value. It's seeking worth. There's kind of a seeking in there, seeking experiences. And then that's equally matched by the I-Ching that says diverging interest. And I'm all over. I'm thinking that it's this breakout energy, breakthrough energy of Leo that is exacerbated by the Uranus T-square. So diverging interest has this individuality theme built into it. And we'll talk about that a little bit more, but it's all congruent with a 97%, in my opinion, overlap. So very strong theme. And the overall theme, when we look at all three of these circles overlap, that's where we see seeking. And there's a lot to this seeking. A lot of people will be just like pure hunting. And that, by the way, I believe is in the Dreambot, the word hunting. And that's super interesting, by the way. And then drama. These are kind of the themes of Leo. And it's just passion is equivalent into that Leo, but that's coming more from the Venus square Mars. The value in there, that's a very Venus thing. So Venus has a big play in this. Obviously, the moon with the full moon, and then Uranus. These are our themes overall. We're seeking something. Some people could be escaping something. Some people could be seeking power. But drama at the very least, unpredictableness. All right, you ready? Let's go ahead and get started. And while you are pressing the like button, no matter where you are, either on YouTube, Rumble, or BitChute, really do appreciate it. I am going to give you a couple of announcements. And we've already had a pretty good response from our episodes. We calling it future casting for now. We have been recording a couple of more. And what we're expecting on doing is dripping those out consistently each week. So right now we're thinking about Friday, 9 a.m. So if we don't hear anything different from us, you can expect that that's going to be the time. But no matter what we do, we still need a name. I'm not against future casting, but if you remember, the CIRF reports themselves, does anybody remember the original name? It was called Comind reports. And I don't even remember what it stood for. This was years ago. And finally changed it to CIRF. CIRF, just the acronym makes sense. And then I like the kind of idea that we're surfing the energies and stuff. So I like that a lot more. So I don't want to be too fast into figuring out what the name of future casting will be. But I think it needs to have a little ring to it, or a little cleverness with my Gemini influence. And as you can tell, the cameras are changing, but even this one will change. The point here is when you see episode 2 and 3 come out, they're going to have that old grainy camera. Apologize for that, but we're working on it. Okay. Actively changing it. And then the last announcement that I have are about the X39 patches. Now, I haven't mentioned those in a long time, and that's because I'm not a salesman, but I really have noticed it's very consistent. My health is consistent. I'm not the best person to keep in consistent, perfect lifestyle choices, but nonetheless, I haven't been sick since starting X39 patches. And I think that has to do with the huge boost in glutathione that you get with those patches. It initiates new stem cells for all sorts of things in your body with the amino acids that have to do with antioxidants. And so I'm going to continue to use these patches. And if you're interested in trying those out, the link is below, called LifeWave. All right. So look up those links. And then a big shout out to Robbie, because she won the best comment of the week. And now this one was over, I believe, on episode 1 video. So not the CIRF report, but I went ahead and combined all those together to see who got the most responses. And she got 4. So she's the winner. And there was some great comments, by the way. Thank you for all the birthday wishes. Someone I wanted to read all. I wanted to honor them all out here, but that's not the way it works. We don't have a show just for reading comments, but let's read Robbie's. Great inaugural episode. Not sure if this is possible. Forgive me if I don't know enough about astrology and trying to learn. Could you elaborate on how the planetary placements affect water, fire, water, earth signs, or how certain human design types could or should handle the energies? And no need to apologize, Robbie. That's what we want. We want these ideas and feedback. All right. So the answer is yes. We want to get to that point, at least on those future castings, or what they end up, the name is. But it's a great idea, and it's an important one. And I really like the idea of doing the human design types. There's really only 4. There's 4 element signs. There's 4, I believe 4. There might be 5. Shoot, I'll have to go look at that, make sure I didn't mess that up. But great idea, Robbie. And we'll try to integrate that for sure. All right, let's go look at the Dreambot. And we have some incredible linguistic sets. I might as well start there. So the first one says that this is at the top with pretty good search scores. Crowded stores product located theater opportunity. And I was just thinking, number 1 word in the collective unconscious is crowded. I thought that was interesting. Crowded stores, almost like an emergency coming. And I know we saw this with the quote unquote blizzard that was coming through the area. Everyone was packed into the grocery stores trying to stock up before the snowfall. But I thought it was interesting. Do we include these bottom words here, theater and opportunity? Is it just show, or do we stop the linguistic sets just up here? Crowded show product located. And what product are we looking at? Well, then the next linguistic set starts with hunter. Hunter menu, wide children, food bar lines. Yikes. Yeah, if you're reading it the way I did, that does not look like a pleasant one. And we move on. Number 3 is love trip theme. And I really like that one from the astrological standpoint. Venus and Mars producing some extra passion and love and experience there. So it's big energy already. So now we just look at the red and the blue. The red arrows are more for like food and grocery, even restaurant, just eating in general. And then the blue, and you look how many of them, there's a lot of both, by the way, a lot of reds and blues. But the blues are luxury trips, entertainment, theater, and that's the entertainment piece. Amazing, beautiful, big words. So that matches the dramatic Leo energy. And I thought the linguistic sets you'd enjoy it as well. All right, getting into the astrology. What I want to point out here, and where we're looking in between these vertical lines, as I darken it up a little bit, we're looking in between the black vertical lines, and this is our overview of the month. We have all planets going direct all month. We have a few change signs, but probably most vivid is going to be around the 5th. The most vivid and bold energies are going to be around the full moon and then around the new moon, and that's more like the 20th. And we've done a video on that as well. That one is episode 2 and will come out later this week. But the 5th has more than just a square. So we're looking at what I mentioned, Venus square Mars. That's this red horizontal, and it goes exact on the 5th. That's the same day as the full moon. That's not it. We have also Sun square Uranus, and that goes exact on the 4th. But here's another thing that goes exact is the contraparallel. And in the world of vertical alignments with the planets, this is also important. So there's 2 alignments happening with Sun and Uranus. We have a square with them. So this is the azimuth square, but then we have a vertical, which is contraparallel on the opposite ends of the equatorial plane. And what that speaks to is extra conflict. So you can see the synergistic effect of a square, Sun square Uranus. This is changing identity or breaking out, being a rebel, the pressure to do those things. But now it's extra conflicted. So Sun is extra conflicted with Uranus, extra pressure. And so that's going to produce more energy, more escapism, more unpredictability. All right, let's go day to day and try to show you where these things are. Thursday on the 2nd. This is probably the only time I'll speak to this, but we have a Jupiter is coming into a conjunction with Chiron. I'm not saying this in priority order. This will be the last time I talk about it, probably this week, with Jupiter and Chiron coming together, but very synchronistic in healing and the power of healing. And just like anything else, this is a hard one with Chiron and Aries. It is yearning for self-healing. But the whole irony is Chiron itself, the metaphor of Chiron, the story of Chiron was that he finally figured out that I have to use my talents and how to heal on others. And when I do that, I actually heal myself. So the same thing goes, especially for Aries and Jupiter coming in alignment with Chiron, is you got to remember when you're more and more yearning for more healing, it's to remember it's synchronistic and lucky to heal someone else or help. That's a misnomer. You can't heal other people, but you can help facilitate their healing and give them space for that, or give them education and training for that, and let them heal themselves. And in doing so, you heal yourself. All right, enough of that. That'll be the end of that conversation for this week. More importantly and more strongly felt is going to be Mars square Venus. That goes exact on the 5th. And that's a very pressured passion. It might even be able to do the archetypes of genders. So you've got the rational men and versus, you can say versus with a square energy, versus the females who are just wanting to connect and feeling extra beautiful. And they are too pressured against, they just don't understand each other. More emotional women, more rational men. Boy, it fits into our typical stereotypes. And I know a lot of people hate the stereotypes with genders. We're the part of society trying to break out of that mold. I get it, but there's, no matter how you skin the cat, there's still going to be those stereotypes. And we have Mercury trine Uranus, and Mercury is already past this, so it's a waning trine, so it's only early in the week. It's easy to change your mind. That was more last week. This energy is kind of waning on its way out, which is good. Friday, the 3rd. All right, here's where our extreme pressure, especially with Sun and Uranus, are starting to really start to be felt. The electricity is being generated, the pressure is being generated, not at just an alignment method or an azimuth method of a square, but also down here we're looking at a contraparallel, and both of those are going to perfect about the same time, and that's going to be around the full moon. It's going to be within the climax period, plus or minus 48 hours of the full moon in Leo. So as you can see, big energy, but extreme pressure to rebel, break out, be different, even change your identity. This is all indicated here. And so that speaks to a very core, a deep layer of unpredictability, especially with that Uranus. Okay. Saturday, the 4th, we are starting a mental overhaul because Mercury and Pluto are about 7.5 degrees away. So starting a conjunction. And just like the sun did with Pluto, this can be kind of an overhaul. The other way you can look at it is very powerful thoughts, very powerful communication, because Pluto represents that deep subconscious power that we have all in us, and it gives you the access point. Now, it's a double-edged sword because it can overpower you. It can feel like you're succumbing to it or even dying, because it's kind of a death and rebirth planet. And this extreme pressure, the Sun and Uranus, is now waning, but it's going to remain extreme due to the contraparallel all throughout the week, through the rest of the week, but especially climaxing at the time of the full moon. The moon, by the way, is in its terminal phase here in Leo, waiting for that full moon ignition. The passion between Mars and Venus is getting stronger. Maybe misunderstandings climaxing. Harder to synergize. And in doing so, that passion gets instigated. That's why when you see a Venus square Mars aspect in a natal chart, that's why it's inducing more passion. When you don't understand completely someone that you maybe admire or are attracted to, that produces a mysteriousness, that produces a desire to get to know. So that get to know, or that get understanding, is akin to, or the same umbrella as, the underlying passion. Okay. And that's also how you can induce in a couple, you can induce a reinstigation of a couple that's been together for a long time. They're starting to take each other for granted, and they get into these habits and just standard ways of interacting with each other. And maybe it gets boring. Well, you can bring passion back by asking them to not see the other person in how they always knew that person, and try to see them in a new way, and convince yourself that you don't really understand them, because we're always changing. There's parts of us that are changing. So anyway, I didn't mean to go off on too much of a tangent. And you know what? I have a bonus chart. All right, here's the bonus chart. Because it was sitting right next to, whoa, how did that change? Anyway, this is not the chart that I wanted. That's embarrassing. Well, you know what? Screw it. Let's move on. Oh, it got all jacked up. Okay, that's the one I wanted. Well, disregard. I'm sorry, guys. We're just going to skip this. I'm going to move on to the full snow moon. What I was going to show you, just so you're, in case you're curious, I was going to show you an example of a Mercury return, but this is not the chart that I wanted. And it just really irks me that I had the wrong stuff. But nonetheless, sorry, no bonus. But I do have a bonus comment that SM put out just before the surf report. And this is over on Telegram. Ready to surf, feeling the massive pressure here, making me a bit dizzy and hard to breathe. I can even hear the fluctuations in the electricity and water pressure from it in our pond and ceiling fans. Some massive pressure bearing down makes it feel like something is about to pop. And I think he's spot on. Now, where does this energy start? Does it start just before the full moon? I think it's generating as we start the week on the 2nd. So I think he's spot on for the whole week, though. Throughout the week, I believe this energy just explodes. And the climax, probably going to be something around Sunday the 5th, because this is where our T-square gets maximized. This is Uranus, and this is the electricity gets pressurized on the sun. This is also when we have the contraparallel go exact, and this is obviously, most importantly, the full moon in Leo. Now, we've done a full conversation on our future casting. That was our first episode. It wasn't our best episode. We're going to keep on improving, but talk about the Leo full moon. So if you want more information than what I've got here, head over and I'll put a card up above that says episode 1, future casting, and you can go zoom and speed through there and find the Leo full moon and get more discussion. But it's big energy. It's the full snow moon. I put on here, where's the fire extinguisher? It's a fire sign. It's big and bold. The Leo is a tiger, a lion that is a hunter and hunts. And I even have it on our summary slide. And this is the seeking behavior, but this is also the drama, the pride of a lion, right? And then the electricity generated by Uranus in a double T-square, or it's a double square, i.e. T-square, plus the contraparallel, making it extra conflicted. And meanwhile, this quiet little opportunity, this is what we don't talk about in episode 1, quiet little opportunity with Venus and Uranus. So big changes in everything Venus, how you harmonize, how you understand and connect with others, how you draw peace. There's an opportunity there when you use the everything Uranus, which could be, inventing something, but electricity somewhat. Change is a big one with Uranus. So maybe changes in the relationship poses an opportunity. So look for that. Okay. And then get the extra Leo by going to revisit episode 1 of the future casting. All right. Now the full moon energy is still present and still affecting people, still making people act unpredictable. And we have that. We have a different opportunity arising, and this is perfecting, is Mercury and Neptune and Mercury. So things are mentally dreamy. It's not only good to let your mind wander or to honor the dreams, it's an opportunity. So mentally, you can really envision things the way they need to be, or are solutions to vexing problems. These are all here on this day. So while everyone else is escaping these big, bold, or seeking behaviors, you can just stay quiet in your own head, let it drift off, let you go into Neptune, and give you some insights about everything that you're interested in. It's like kind of like it's a beautiful brainstorming. Remember that Mercury is in Capricorn, so it's very much more goal-oriented. Watch out for that feeling of pessimist. The Mercury with Pluto can accidentally go into pessimism mode, and now you've got an equivalent of a horrible nightmare. So what you want to do is calm yourself first, get into parasympathetic nervous system, and you can do that with watching your breath of any kind, any type of breathing. Or you can do a song or like a mantra, any use of your throat and voice, and then like in a singing manner. That invokes parasympathetic nervous system, and why that's important is because you want to get relaxed. So you're relaxed, maybe even optimistic, but that's not important. Just relaxed, and you can even visualize empowerment. That's the Pluto. That's warranted here. We're only 5 degrees away. So now all of a sudden you get out of this death, even rebirth mindset, and get into your empowered mental state about what needs to happen or goals that need to be set, Capricorn, in your immediate future. And then boom, let your mind wander, go into fantasy mode, and play around with that. Tuesday the 7th, we have the Venus and Uranus opportunity maximizes. And then on our final day of the 8th of February, we have emotions all over the place. But they are practical because they're in Virgo and they're trine. There's not a grand Earth trine, but there's a lot of trine energy with emotions. So this, I think, is kind of the drawback down, at least from the emotional standpoint. Things get very practical and grounded now, which empowers you put your practical emotions into this activity that we talked about with Mercury. We're only talking 2.5 degrees now, so this empowerment option can be very potent starting on Wednesday, especially now that we have practical emotional content. It's discriminating and very Virgo-esque, very maybe artistic and talented in that way, perfectionistic even, but that bodes well for that activity that includes a sextile over to Neptune. All right, let's take the thing off. Now, when I talk about the I-Ching, I noted here how we had that kind of sporadic full moon energy when I was doing the coins, unusual. And so I noted it here. The nature of the I-Ching reading was the coins were flinging around everywhere, extreme shifts if you look at the coins layout, it was extreme yang to extreme yin, back and forth. And we had some of these coins would just do amazing amounts of dancing and drama, while other coins were just dead, just drop and didn't do anything. It was really, really unusual. So I thought that I would let you guys in on that one, which sort of speaks to not only divergent interest, but the level of unpredictability that we have, and the extreme nature of once you think that it's over here, and then whoom, it's going to go over here unpredictably. And then just the sheer amount of broadcast and distance and transmission of this energy is going to be big, in my opinion. And not just the full moon, but especially the full moon, and especially Leo full moon. But we have diverging interest because we also have the sun and Uranus. That's a big one here. Plus, we have the misunderstanding potentially, or the increase in passion between male and female, or the divine feminine and divine yang, or whatever. So, some level of estrangement is indicated. You don't say. Different natures and interests bring opposition into the world of human affairs. You don't say. If opposition drifts into alienation and enmity, good results are few, if at all. So you're going to have to realize and just accept there's going to be opposition. There's going to be divergence in interests. People are seeking. People are being drawn by that Leo drama and desire. When diverging interests make a situation seem stagnant or futile, remember that there are always creative possibilities inherent in polarities. In fact, I'll even goes to say that there are models out there in creativity that you can't get to the life-changing, glorious creativity until you become an expert in these polarities and getting to those extremes back and forth. So this period of time offers a lot of creativity, but then in the world of psychology of creativity, this is the space where psychosis kind of joins creativity. It looks crazy, feels crazy. It's so big, it can drive people nuts. So don't be surprised if you see a little bit of that this week. And there's a lot of change lines. There's 4 of them. So we got to honor them. Basically, line 1 says, let go by letting small disputes resolve themselves. Pick your battles is what line 1 is saying. Line 3, this is a line of Murphy's Law. Everything that could go wrong has gone wrong. And so join up with someone whose luck is better than yours. That's the line 3. Line 4 says, find someone with whom you should share deep interest and unwavering trust. It's all about the Venus and Mars square. And also line 5, when someone with some sincere intentions at first appears to oppose you, look deeper. It may be that you have misjudged this person. So don't judge a book by its cover, or don't automatically assume that you know what they're going through and all that. Whew, and that's a lot. So now I'm going to change this up, and typically I just go right into the solution, but I want to take a pause and I want to go start our summary slide and clean up the influence. This is the influence, folks. Oh, great. Oh, I got to clean up this slide. Hold on as I move the camera and I move this thing. Okay, now I can zoom in a little bit more. So here's the influence. It might feel almost like your hair is on fire this week with a Leo full moon and pressured by a liberation-seeking rebel called Uranus. With all planets direct, the pressured energy gets magnified with simply one thing, unpredictability, but also this seeking, hunting thing. Don't expect people to act very rational and predictable, just like all full moons, but this one is electric. It's got the Uranus aspect to it. Perhaps an uptick in politicians attempting to use the Leo fire to capture even more power. Don't leave that off the table. All right, so now with that, Now let's go back to finish and start our solution. I gotta get there first. All right. So we start with our I-Ching. This is, you put the change lines in to get rid of the change lines, and they reverse polarity. And you see that there was a lot of them, 4 of them that reversed polarity. That means it's a very creative week. A gentle influence is at work. The gentle penetration is what this hexagram is called. It's hexagram 57. Gentle penetration bodes well for new relationships or enterprises. When using a force that is soft but persistent, careful aim is necessary, for only when a small force continually moves in the same direction it will have a cumulative effect. This hexagram is all about taking small, repeated small behaviors in groups, and as we synchronize over the whole, it becomes a really big influence. So not a time, according to our solution, to, even though we feel big and feel like we need to be seeking or hunting something or big drama, it's more about trying to be a little bit grounded enough to remind yourself that it's just repetition. Enough repetitions or enough people in our group gives us that dominant edge, not us as individuals. And that even speaks to the leadership quality of the Leo. The Leo wants to be the leader, the guide of the pride, using pride. But this week, the solution is not oriented to gaining that leadership. It's about being part of the whole. That's a lot more Pisces in nature, but being part of something big and powerful, and not alone, and empowering over everybody else, or leading. Leadership is not part of our solution per se. So when I put the Leo full moon in, it's in hexagram 7 of the Rave Mandala, and it's in Cancer, Sidereal Cancer. And so just note that. We'll start here with the hexagram 7 of the Rave. This is in human design, and it's the army. The point of convergence by design, the need for leadership to guide and order society. And that is really interesting. It seems to disagree with what we just read over here, right? With the I-Ching. But we're with the abdicator, and the abdicator line says the willingness to accept the judgment of the people and or the rule of law. Basically, well, let me read this. The grace and wisdom to step down for the benefit of the whole, the capacity of self to accept the judgment of others. And so you can see how directly we, the people, are the leaders. And so there is it is the army. And yeah, it's saying that they need leadership, but we are together the leadership. So take that one to the bank. All right, with that, now that will do it for our solution background. And so now we'll come back here, get rid of this, and I'll squeeze that down a little bit so we can really zoom in. I'll zoom in as much as I can. All right, and here we go. We have the I-Ching. It says gentle penetration. That's basically all of us together is the bigger force. And then the mandala seemed to influence you to get leadership, but the line 4 is more exact. And it says that the judgment of the people will be the rule of law. And it's a big shift. We are the leaders together, according to the I-Ching 57. And then Sidereal Cancer is protective and caring. And so we have the ability to protect ourselves this week and be more nurturing. But here we go. With the convergence of severe and extreme unpredictability this week, it's no wonder that we received the 3 solutions here. We are being advised to act as one people to basically care for, protect, and nurture our society and the rule of law. And we do that by having an additive power of small, repeating, and persistent forces. Yes, your individual actions this week matter. Remember, according to the I-Ching gentle penetration, it says that you do keep on doing those small things for the greater whole. And it does matter as an additive effect. And you can see this in your own life too. Keep repeating good, small behaviors. Eventually, you're going to get good results. It's time to voice your demands for rule of law and let the corrupt, self-appointed con artists be fully aware that they work for us, not the other way around. We are the force that the rave is referring to. Together, we will be the world leadership by asserting our rightful role. We are a massive force because we are persistent, methodical, caring, faithful, and principled. We are the shakeup. We are the awakening. We are massive, and we are powerful. Okay. So the statement that I'd like to offer, and you can make your own, of course, but what felt compelled to me is the people govern and rule this world. You can say, we, the people, govern and rule this world. Together, the world is ours, and we should protect it, and we should demand the rule of law and their willingness to accept our judgment. And then we are together in it, creating. The only way we can actually be a big, powerful force is being together in this. Whew. Big week, isn't it? You didn't expect that outcome, did you? I know. I didn't either. But it became obvious as I was making that triangulation. So big in the sense you're going to see a lot of people going off on their own and doing their own self-serving power moves and seeking and hunting and drama and passions and getting value and taking other people's energies. I think you're going to see a lot of that this week. But remember, we're all in this together, and you just do your thing, repeating enough, and protect our stance, protect our role, we the people. All right? I don't know if that makes sense to all of you, but I appreciate you being here. I appreciate you being part of the CIRF family. And one more announcement. I'll make one more CIRF report again this week because I'm going to be gone next Wednesday. And so this weekend I'll work on another CIRF report. And the only downside is our dream bot will be a little bit not quite as accurate because I'm not doing it right at the last minute. So we won't have real tight information for the next CIRF report from the dream bot. But, these things happen. But I will get a CIRF report out before I do that trip. All right, everybody. Thanks for being here. Thanks for your likes, shares, and comments, and even feedback. We honor all of you, and we'll see you next week. Cheers.